All right, so we're going to do the treadmill first. This is one of the activities we're going to be performing in here in the fitness center. The biggest key before you even get on any piece of equipment is just know that it needs to be cleaned. So once you're on a piece of equipment and you're done using it, you always wipe it down. We have areas that that are in this gym specifically that are for cardio activities. Like for instance, over here on this side, we want to make sure that they're always clean. The first activity we're going to show you here is the treadmill. Number one safety issue with the treadmill is you always have a safety clip. Okay, the safety clip will always go in front of your shirt. Once you have it on the front of your shirt, then you're good to go. There's an emergency stop button. At no point in the workout do you ever want to hit the emergency stop button, because what it'll do, it'll stop the tracks, literally, and you might fly up and over, or you might end up going backwards on it. You do not want to hit the emergency button. It also sends a link to Mrs. Chismar and myself to let us know that there was a possible emergency. And I don't want to be getting emails left and right about and text messages about it being an emergency stop occurring. So you never want to hit that. If you ever want to slow it down, you always do it manually. To get started on here, once I have my safety clip on and notice that the clip is up and over the bar, I want to hit the start button. Once I hit the start button, you'll feel the track will start to move. There we go. All right, as it's moving slowly right now, there are many options that I can do on here. Today we're going to show you just some of the basic options that you're going to be practicing this year. Keep in mind, while you're on this, you have your street clothes on. You're not literally right now wearing your clothes for phys ed due to the times that we live in. So you want to make sure that you're not going too fast on here. I want to recommend, you can go 4 or 5 miles per hour, but you're going to find you don't want to be jogging for 30 minutes on this with your street clothes on, especially like jeans and sweatpants and sweatshirts. So your speed that you have, you can turn it up to whatever you want with the plus and the minus. You'll see that. Turn it down. I also have a gradient button that I can, if I want to walk on an incline as if I'm walking up a mountain, I can do that. Or I can go back down, it goes to about 15 degrees. Again, it's all in preference for you. I also have a heart rate button. Okay, there's a heart rate up here that if I grab onto the 2 metal areas, it'll tell me my heart rate as I work out. All right, eventually if I held onto it long enough, that's what it will do. I also have an area if for some reason I need to take a break. It probably won't affect you much this year, but if you need to take a break, you'll hit the pause or the stop button. There we go. And it'll temporarily stop everything. You just have to remember to take your clip off to get a drink of water. When you're getting your drink of water, you have a minute to do it, and then you get back on, put the clip back on, and then you would hit the restart button. That's how that works. There's a lot of filters that are on a lot of these apps, so you won't be able to use them other than the Outdoors app. The Outdoors app's pretty neat. It's like a GoPro, if you've ever heard of the GoPros that are out there. You could pick a place to go, like for instance, San Francisco. There's different stages and different areas that you can go based on what your preference is. Like for instance, I'll start stage 4. Looks like I'm going through the quad here. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm going to be outside by the beach. All right, so this will move as fast as what I move. So if I pick up the speed a little bit, you'll see that my screen moves a little faster each way. And I see people, I see dogs. You just have to be careful out here. All right. Luckily for us, even if it's raining on the treadmill, we don't have to worry about it raining on us that we're on here. But it's pretty neat to have the extra screen. And again, you can increase the gradient, and the machine will actually do the same thing. Once I slow up, say I'm tired, I'm done working out, I hit the pause button, and then I hit stop. It will tell me the calories that I burned, obviously the exercise duration, the average speed, everything that I did. Obviously, I didn't light the world on fire with this workout, but it tells me all the information that I need to know. And then when I'm finished, you'll see that I put my clip back, it's up and over the bar. Everything's finished on this part. Now, the most important part's next is when I have to wipe down the equipment. With the equipment itself, as I wipe it down, there you go. I have paper towels that are in here. And I have spray. I will drench the paper towel. Hopefully I get this thing working. There we go. All right. Drench the paper towel, and it will not hurt anything I've touched. I want to wipe down. And we'll be there to help you in case you have any issues. But if you notice, it's nice and wet. Caught on the. There we go. And I did not spray the machine itself. Everything I touched, though, including the clip, I want to make sure I wipe down that it's wet. And then I'm done. I do not, at any point, touch the screen, though, with the hydrogen peroxide mix that we have. That kills everything else, but I don't want to touch the screen. Mrs. Chismar and I will wipe down the screens after every class that we need to for that. Good. All right, the next piece of equipment we're going to go over are the ellipticals. The ellipticals are a little harder on some people's knees, so you have to be careful with that. We have two different types that we have in the front. We have ellipticals and we have arc trainers. If you have knee problems, you probably don't want to do the elliptical, but they do give you a great workout when you're on them. They're geared in the back versus geared in the front, which is with the arc trainer, we'll talk about here in a little bit. So that's why it's a little bit tougher for you when it comes to doing these. With the ellipticals, you have a lot of the same things that are on the treadmills, in that you have the heart rate monitors that are here, okay? And then you have your steps, and once you start moving, these are man and woman powered. So once you are on here and you're actually moving, okay, most people come to me and say, why isn't this working, Mr. Livingston? Well, it's because you haven't moved yet. These actually have to be moved, then it'll turn on, as you can see. Once I'm moving on it, now it's turned on. From there, then I hit the quick start button. For this year, all you have to know is the quick start, and then you'll have your resistance on whether you want the resistance to go down or go up, which is on your right. And you have your ramp, which can go uphill as if you're climbing a hill, again, or you can go down as if you're walking on pavement outside. Once again, you have your heart rate monitor that'll show up here. It'll tell you how many calories you burned and what level you're at. Many other buttons there are on here, but for now, all we want you to understand is the quick start, the resistance up and down, and the cross ramp, okay, or it would be your gradient, incline and decline. When you are finished, if I'm tired, no longer I'm done, once again, I would run over, well, not really run over, I would walk over and get the paper towel and the spray my paper towel, everything I touched, all over this, and even the screen when it comes to the ellipticals and the arc trainers. You can wipe down the entire screen. The only one you don't is the treadmill. And that should conclude ellipticals. All right, so now we're done with the ellipticals and the treadmills. We're on to the arc trainers. There are 3 of those. These are geared in the front, which make it a little easier on your knees. So those of you that have knee problems, once again, it's a little bit easier on your knees up front. Same concept, you have the metal bars here, which are your heart rate monitors. You're going to have a quick start button once you're moving, because these are man and woman powered. Once you're moving, you would hit the quick start button once again. And then you have your resistance, just like you do on all the other machines. And you have your incline, just like you're climbing a hill and going down. They're the most important parts right here. On the 2 side ones, you actually have a fan. You could turn it on and off if you're actually moving. If you're not moving, the fan will not run. So again, it's man and woman powered when you're doing that. As I'm moving, this can tell me my screen as to what I want it to know. Distance, calories per hour, okay? How many strides per minute I'm taking as I'm moving, or if it'll tell me my heart rate as I'm moving on this as well, all right? It'll actually read your heart rate as you go and let you know where you're at. Like right now, I'm at 1 at 2. I'm not in my zone yet. All right? And that should conclude the arc trainer, other than wiping it down, which this time I remembered it. It took me twice, but I remembered to wipe everything down. I have everything, so I'm wiping down anything I touch. And again, don't be afraid to make it wet. That's okay. That's what it's all about. You want to make sure everything is clean and that you touch the screens. You're good to go on the screens as well. So then wet and wipe down. All right, the next activity, we're going to take you to a bunch of activities that are on our Synergy system. Not too many middle schools or even high schools that have what we have here at Lamberton Middle School. So we're going to go through some of the safety and some of the activities that you're going to be able to do during class. Obviously, we're going over them now, but keep in mind, I'm not going to clean every piece of machinery in front of the camera. I will do it, but I want you to know the same thing. When you're done using a piece of equipment, you're going to wipe it down. Like for instance, the handles here. We're not touching anything else on the rope other than the handles. So when you're done with the handles, you'll wipe it down. First thing we're going to do is the battle ropes. With the battle ropes, a couple different activities you can do on the battle ropes. The ones we're going to go over for you for now are alternating arms. Okay, so you're going to bend your knees, okay, about shoulder, a little more than shoulder width apart. You're going to bend your knees and you're going to shake. Alternate arms. Okay, you can go alternating arms. You can go same arms. Okay, as if you're pulling a wagon, sending the horses out. Then from there you can also challenge yourself by jogging forward, jogging backwards, jogging forwards, jogging backwards. Or you can go side to side. And it's all about whether you feel like going really fast or if you want to do it for endurance. Because the faster I go, I'm not going to last too long doing this. Okay? And again, I can move forward and backwards, side to side. I can shake it side to side, or I can shake it together. And that's your battle ropes. All right, the next activity that you're going to be able to do are the plyo jumps. Okay, so we've got a small little box here that you're going to be able to lift. I would highly recommend you get somebody else to help you because this is very, very heavy when you're moving it from number to number. The biggest key with this plyo jump area is that you need to start and do at least 10 successful jumps from the first level to move to the second level. And it'll be the same from the second level to the third level. You need to do 10. It's very important that you do that. Obviously, we don't want anybody to get injured. Many different things you can do here with the box based on how high it's raised. One could be toe taps, as simple as I'm touching my toes as I'm moving on the balls of my feet as if I'm playing soccer. Okay? That's one activity. Another activity, you could actually put your feet underneath it. You could do sit-ups from there if you chose to do that. Another one would be to jump with 2 feet up onto the box. Now notice as I'm using my upper body and I'm jumping onto the box, my feet are not underneath the box in any way. If I'm getting tired and I try to jump with 2 feet, it won't feel good hitting metal. Okay? This machine will hurt you. You will not hurt the machine. Or I can just take, one at a time. I can jump up off one leg if I choose to do so. I can do that as well. The key is when I'm jumping, again, it's 10 times and it's forward. I don't want to jump from side to side and get a running start. It's not about getting a running start. It's all about the power, okay, coming from your quads, your hamstrings, your calves, and jumping straight up. You want to work yourself up, not out. That should be good for that. All right, the next activity is what we call the power pivot. You can do a ton of activities from the power pivot. The first one that you're going to want to do, and this main safety issue, is to make sure that the pole is the whole way down in. There's a slot that it has to go in, and if it comes out, it will not feel good if that lands on somebody. You want to make sure that it's in the slot the entire way. From there then, there's many different activities you can do on here. We're going to do a simple squat with the power pivot to start. This is already a heavy bar in itself, so you will not need to use weight necessarily. Some of you that have done this before in 7th and 8th grade, you might be able to do that, but 6th graders, we're going to do the bar first. From there, I want to have myself and put myself in a position that I'm going to be most successful, and then I'm going to utilize a squat technique. So I want to make sure that my weight is back on my heels. I'm retracting my shoulder blades, almost as if I have like a tomato between my shoulder blades and my back. I want to squeeze that. The biggest key with that, when you're doing that, is that you push your shoulder blades back. From there then, as I perform this, my weight goes on the back of my heels, and I'm sitting like I'm sitting in a chair. So I stay retracted as I come down, and then I come up. Notice I'm not moving my arms up and down. I'm coming down as I'm sitting, and then I'm coming back up. I don't have to fall the whole way to the ground. I just have to go to where I'm in a sitting position. Again, down and up. And notice that I'm not leaning forward, okay? I'm retracting my shoulder blades. Again, you got to think about holding that tomato in place, okay, and squeezing that tomato as you come down and up with that. Another activity you can do is what's called a three-point position. So with the three-point position, you're going to come down like a typical squat, so you can addition, and then you can lean forward with it onto the balls of your feet. And then you come back, come down, come back up onto the balls of your feet, and that's a three-point position. Another activity you can do will work your core region, okay, and your abs. You get to hold it from side to side. I'm holding it like a hoagie, okay, just like you're going to do for all these, or grinders, or subs, or whatever, wherever you're from, whatever you call that you're eating, that's how you're going to hold it. One hand will be underneath, one's on top. I'm going to twist from one side to the next. And again, my feet still are about shoulder width apart, maybe a little bit more. But it's side to side. And I squeeze my abs as I turn each way. Side to side. Side to side as I go. And you can add weight to make it tougher on you. You can also add a Bosu ball in the future in which you'll be able to sit on one of the half moon balls, sit on it with your legs off the ground and do the same thing from side to side. Biggest key is the safety here. When you're done using it, you place it onto the ground so the next person can use it. And make sure that the pole is in the slot the whole way. If it's not in the slot the whole way, when the next person picks it up, they could almost drop it on their foot, and that will not feel good. And that will not make us happy. So you want to make sure it's in the slot when you're finished. You place it nice and neat on the ground, and then you'll clean it as well. You wipe down all the areas that you touched. The next area we're at is the tricep bar here, in which we're going to be able to do the tricep dips. You're also able to do other activities. Based on, again, you're going to need somebody else to help you lift and go to each area. All right. There's 2 hooks that hook on. You can hook them as high as you want or as low as you want. The key with this is on the activity that you're actually performing. Some of the activities you can do are simple as tricep dips, in which I come up, lift my feet off the ground, come down, and then lift myself back up. That's as simple as a tricep dip. Obviously, my feet are off the ground. Another activity you can do, okay, it will work your core as well as your triceps as you're working, is that you're going to lift your body off the ground, and you can lift your knees from side to side. If you're really flexible, strong core, lift your legs out. Okay, that's a simple activity. Now, when you're doing these, as with any activity, you need to make sure that if you feel like you're going to fall and your arms are shaking and you feel like you're going to fall, that you don't fall straight down, because your armpits and your arms will actually hit the bar and it will not feel good and it will bruise your arms. The machine will hurt you. You will not hurt the machine, once again. When you're done using the machine, you wipe it down again. One other activity that you can do is if you're down below, you can pull up on it. If you're sitting down, you can actually do pull-ups on it as well. But again, when you're finished, you want to wipe everything down. All right, next is the TRX bands. Hundreds of activities you can do with this. I have a book. I'm going to go over a few basic ones that you're going to be able to do in class. And if you show me that you can handle this and do these activities, then I'll give you the book and we can go over some more activities. First thing is all about the safety, and once again, it's being able to tighten the band itself. You'll see this is the top part of the band. The yellow part I will pull on to tighten it, and it raises the band quite a bit. So I want to make sure they're even. Before I even start any activity, I want to make sure they're even. All right, now they're about even. Very good. Now they're tight. Now, some of these activities I can do if I want to increase my heart rate a little faster than others. Okay, I would lean back, and then I'm going to come down to a squat. Okay, so I'm coming down to a squat and out. Pull my body in as we go. Okay, another activity I can do, bicep curls. I can have my arms out, and again, it's all in which way I want to lean and how much. If I want to move further down, obviously I can lower this. Like for instance, if I'm right here and I'm doing bicep curls, and Mr. Livingston, this is too easy. I can do this all day long. Mrs. Chismar, this is super easy. Watch me. You can actually lower this. There we go, and you'll be further to the ground. Notice I'm just grabbing onto the metal clip and I'm going down. Now I have more of a challenge. Now I'm at the bottom of the floor and I'm pulling myself up, performing bicep curls. That's another activity that you can do. There are many different activities you're going to do, such as leaning to the side. I'm gripping on with both, leaning out, and then I reach up and squeeze. This works your core as I come up. And I would do the same thing to the opposite side. With anything that you're going to do in the gym, anything you do to one side, you will always do to the other side. So just because you're right-handed or left-handed and you're super strong on that side, you want that other side to be equal strong, because obviously you don't want to walk around like this, where one side's really strong and the other side's weak. You want to make sure that everything's equal, because what happens is you do what's called overcompensating. Just like if you are injured and you injured your ankle, you have to be able to let that ankle heal. If you haven't let that ankle heal, you're going to continue to have a wrong gait and eventually you're going to injure your other leg. So that's really important that whatever you do on one side, you do on the other with these activities. Some other activities you could do would be which we'll go over in class, is to be able to put your feet inside of these, and you'll be able to do a bear crawl walk out with your feet up off the ground, and you'll be able to go backwards. And like I said, there's a lot of activities we'll get into, but these were a few basic activities for you to perform while in class. All right, the next activity we're going to go over here is the pull-up bar and the traverse bars here. One key with this is you don't want to have lotion on your hands when you get on these pieces of equipment, because obviously they'll make you slip. You have different types of pull-ups you can do. You can do the overhand grip, okay, and then you can do what they used to call a chin-up, when your hands, you're working your biceps instead of your lats. Biggest key with this, again, your hands are over the bar when you do it, and your feet should be dangling, and then you're going to pull yourself up to the bar. If you want to do the chin-up, you can do the opposite way, grab across. The other part you can do, if you feel like you were able to do the chin-up the right way, you can challenge yourself and grab onto the end here, and you would pull yourself up that way. You're going to see that it's hard to get your chin above the ball at that point. Sixth graders, do not put your head between these or between the bar itself. We've had somebody do that before, and you can injure yourself if you do that and get stuck. And it's very tough to save somebody when their head's stuck between the bar here. The next part is traversing. You can traverse across as you're working your way across. You can pull yourself in, and then you can switch on the way back to traverse. And once again, when you're finished with this, you wipe it down. We do have some of the steppers over there that you're able to use. For those of you that are not as tall as others or vertically challenged, as we say, you're able to get up here onto the steppers, and then you'll be able to get up onto the pull-up bar to use. Again, when you're finished, wipe it all down. Do not get on this piece of equipment until you know that it's not slippery. You don't want that to be slippery from somebody with lotion on. So when you're finished, clean it up. All right, so now we move on to the tricep and bicep. We actually have, this is a single pulley, single arm pulley is what they're called. There's some safety concerns with these though before I even show you the activities. Biggest key is on the outside there's a pin. You want to make sure that it's locked in place with the pin, because what happens is this can be loose, and if I let go, you'll see it'll drop. So that could drop on somebody's head, it could drop, could get your finger, could pinch your finger, so you want to be careful. You pull out, and you drop to the area that you feel that you're comfortable with when it comes to these activities. Obviously, we're doing different muscle groups here, so you want to make sure when you're performing the different muscle groups that you have it in the right spot. For instance, if you take your arm and you reach on the back side of it above your elbow, okay, and you want to almost hyperextend your elbow, you want to push back, you'll feel what's called your tricep on the back of your arm. This is what works that muscle. With any of the activities that we do revolve your upper body, you want to make sure that you work on that retraction. So again, you pretend you have that tomato back here, and you pinch that tomato before you perform the activity. The other thing, with the weights, no matter what weight I have it on, right now I have it on 2.5 pounds, very basic, because I don't know whether I can do this or not. Just kidding. With the 2.5 pounds, I don't know if I can do this. So if I all of a sudden drop it down to 42.5 pounds, I could injure myself. So I want to make sure that I keep it at the least amount of weight as possible. That's still giving me a basic challenge. Key is all about form when you're doing these. So again, retracting your shoulder blades, feet are about shoulder width apart. From here then, I'm going to pull down and away from my body. And then I bring it back to L. Okay, if you see my arm, it makes an L. I want to bring it back to an L. I don't want to come the whole way up, in which I'm bending over and trying to push. Okay, push down. I want to stay retracted. I bring it up to the L spot, and then I twist away. Come back up, twist away. And I'll perform this again. It needs to be 10 to 15 times. Once I'm done with the 10 to 15 times, then I'm finished. And if you notice when I'm finished, I don't slam the weight. Weight's done. You can almost not even tell that I'm even here. What I don't want to hear is that noise. If I hear that noise, that tells me that you cannot handle the weight that's on there. And you want to make sure that you can handle the weight. So you always start at the least amount. If I was down here and I was doing 32.5 pounds and I did my 10, and I'm on here and I did my 10, under control. Okay, got my L, I'm under control, I'm done. We'll say I did 10 and I'm finished. I have somebody else that might be coming over. I'm wiping down this. I'm wiping down the pin as I move it. And I always move it back to 2.5 pounds or the least amount. That goes for any machine in here. You always move the pin back to the least amount of weight that's possible on there. From here now, I'm done with the triceps. I'm going to move to the opposite side. I'm going to perform biceps. So I'm going to drop this down to the bottom. Notice the pin's stuck. I have the pin down. From here, same concept. As I pull up, I have my shoulder blades retracted. I'm going to pull up to my chest, and then I'm going to come back down. Notice that I'm not hitting the bottom of the weight stack either. I'm not doing this each time. Actually, I'm too tall anyways for that to happen. But I don't want somebody down here going, you don't want that to happen. It makes too much noise. Not only that, but it's not good for the weights to be smacked around like that. So you want to make sure that, again, you have yourself retracted. You're pulling up towards your chest. I put my thumbs on top. You can have them to the side, but I put my thumbs on top. I have big hands, and then I put it back down. Again, 10 to 15 times before I raise the weight. When I'm finished with this, I wipe down everything that I've touched, even the pin, and I put the pin back at the weight it needs to be. And that is your tricep and your biceps. All right, the next activity you can do is what we call a slam ball. Yes, this is my favorite activity, and usually it's one of the students' favorite activities as well. This is an 8-pound ball. We have other ones that are a little bit heavier. We have ones that are a little bit smaller. The whole idea with a slam ball, and you'll see that they all look like Saturn. They have rings around them on the outside if you look real close. Okay, the rings around them. The whole idea behind a slam ball is to slam it. In fact, if you can slam it and break it, I'll give you an A in my class. The biggest key is you're using your whole body, you're keeping it within your body, and you're bringing it down, and you're slamming it. These are built to slam. So again, I want you to slam this. I want you to throw it straight down. I want you to use everything you got in your body in order to slam it. Great workout. It's a very, very good workout to do this. I've had students that have done this for 15 or 20 minutes in a class period, and they were drenched with sweat when they were finished in the past. Keep in mind again though, you are wearing jeans and you are wearing sweatshirts and so forth when you're in here this year, so you won't want to do this for too long, that you'll be drenched when you leave class. But it is a slam ball, and the biggest key is safety. We had one of these balls stuck underneath the treadmill before because somebody wasn't paying attention. They threw it at somebody or at somebody's feet instead of throwing it straight down. These go straight down, not at somebody, because they could really hurt somebody, especially being 8 pounds. And those are slam balls. All right, the next activities you can do are with the weighted balls that we use. Those of you in throwing sports, really good activities for you. These are some of the most important activities I think that you should be able to do when you're in a gym. A lot of times people get injured because they don't work on the small muscles in their body, which actually are the ones that need to be the strongest in order to help out the bigger muscles in the body. So one of these we're going to do are the 2-pound balls that I have in my hand now. We have other weights that are on here as well. We're going to be doing what we call YTWIs. And with this, it all starts with the retracting again. Again, you have to pretend you have that tomato. I'm going to say you're going to have nightmares about all the retraction stories that I'm telling you. But retract, pretend you have the tomato in there, you're squeezing. And then from there, you're going to take the balls, palms down, and you're going to make the letters YTWI. So Y, T, W, and then I. And you can do this with a couple of different letters. Obviously, you don't have to try to make a B with it and D and so forth when you do it. But the YTWIs are really important. The biggest key with these is that you stay retracted as you perform them. The heavier you go with the weight, the less time that you're going to be able to handle actually doing the activities. Even with 2 pounds, I can feel a little bit, since I'm doing this right and I'm retracting and my arms are straight, I can feel the difference with this already. And again, these are YTWIs. You pick the different activity or the different ball size that you want to use with these. But anytime you're lifting something over your head and you're working on your shoulders and your rotator cuffs and you're working on that retraction, you don't want to do more than 5 to 6 pounds anyways when you're performing this. But again, palms are down as I perform it. All right, so the next couple pieces, I'm not going to actually demonstrate all the activities because we have a lot of directions that are already posted that are on here. This is more about safety. When you're on these activities and you're performing anything with the exercise or physio balls, as they call, they're not hippity hops that you would jump on back in the day when you were a lot younger and you're running into each other and falling into the walls and so forth. These are used specifically for activities. We have a bunch, somewhere near 20 or 30 activities that you can perform with those.